Welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I am your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today we're going to talk about Saturn retrograde to all of the signs. I'm so wanting to do this because I think Saturn retrograde is a good thing. Saturn is a malefic. Like Mars, he's not always a good guy. He makes life hard and makes us feel like we're having to push and struggle and be determined and work hard and astrocartography is interesting. I have a few places where I can go in the world to work and live on my Saturn line, and I've lived on them, and I work too hard. I'm a workaholic there. So I want to talk about your signs. This is going to be very, to the point, but I will talk about your rising sign, sun and moon. Stay tuned for that. And how this retrograde of Saturn is coming up on May the 23rd to October 11th can actually feel like a bit of relief in your life as some of the pressure of Saturn in its normal forward momentum disposition lightens up just a little bit. And also you can go back to things that need readdressing, tinkering with, reestablishing, that you've already started or already been engaged in, but now you're going to go build a solid foundation or get it stronger or make it more stable or, create a more lasting legacy effect in something you've already started. So let's talk about the general stuff and then let me go into the all signs. Now remember, your rising sign is the best as most accurate indicator, your ascendant, your rising sign of what I'm talking about. But then you can use your sun or your moon, depending on if you're born at night and day. I'd say use your sun if you're a day baby and your moon if you're a night baby, but certainly start with your rising sign. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to share the screen. No, I'm going to talk about Saturn first, and then I'm going to share the screen. So Saturn is the Lord of time and karma. He's cold. He's the god of the winter, the winter solstice. He's stern and stoic and realistic and pragmatic and sober-minded. Those are good key words. And last year, during about the third week of March until the end of June, in 2020, Saturn tiptoed into Aquarius. And that was a foreshadow or foretaste for you about what Saturn could be doing now as he retrogrades backwards in Aquarius again. Now, he was going forward around March 22nd in Aquarius, and then around the third week later, he retrograded backwards, but just good to know. Go back and think about what was happening in my life last year, third week of March, pandemic central, to June 29th or so, to see where you might actually now be going back to look at some reestablishing of foundations that you were creating then and going deeper into some basic foundational energy in your story. And Saturn wants to build a lasting foundation, a legacy foundation, an edifice that will endure the tests of time. That's his priority. So where will you go back? So I'll give you an example for me in my life. Okay, so I'm Aquarius rising, so this is happening in my house and my body, and that includes your health stuff. And last year, during that March 22nd to June 29th timeframe, I joined a group online called Sober Sisters to get off my wine habit. And it was interesting because it literally timed out to this Saturn shift. And I was a big part of that group during that time, all through. I didn't actually join until Saturn was retrograding. But I joined in May and June. I was in the thick of this really cool online group called Sober Sisters, which I'd recommend, by the way, Google it. If you are somebody wanting to get off the habit of alcohol, I don't think it's ideal if you're like a total alcoholic. I think you probably need more professional help, but this is great for, weaning off stuff. So Saturn's now going retrograde on May 23rd. And I'm thinking of joining up on one of those groups again, or something like it, or, realigning myself to my original commitment to like be more wine free in my life and have another sabbatical from wine. Because although I'd say I drank far less alcohol and wine than I ever did after that journey through Sober Sisters last spring, I still think I need to like maybe find no wine as an option. Like maybe what it would be like to be wine free. I don't know. Not since I was in my 20s or pregnant have I known the answer to that question. So that's my example. So there are other things too. For example, if I use me, but I'm not going to go too much into me. So let me show you the sky. We're going to do all signs. This is a pithy, short time together here. I'm just wanting to give all signs their time in the sun. I started here today with me, Aquarius rising. And I want to look at the big sky picture for each of us. And we'll just start with where this is now. So we'll make this both the official Aquarius rising gets to start, and we have to pay attention to all of this, right? Look at this. So if you're still listening, you know what? Scrap. I'm just going to talk about it generally, and then I'll start my official timestamp for Aquarius rising. So one of the things I wanted to mention is there's a beautiful trine from Saturn to Venus. Now Saturn has a superior position here. He's moving, like, if you think about the way the planets are actually moving through the sky, this direction, right? He's in the superior position, sort of behind Venus and looking at her. So he carries a lot of the weight about this Venus trine. But Venus is on a great star called Rigel. And Rigel is like a luck, prosperity, material success star, determination and resourcefulness with your and business enterprise. But mostly it's a very lucky star. So Rigel or Rigel, however you pronounce it, and Venus are together in the sky at the time, the day on May 23rd, that Saturn's stationing to go retrograde. Now you see how the color here is not red? Watch this. I love this software. Watch an hour later. Look. Now we're red, right? That is because we've now changed to retrograde motion. So that happened in the hour between 1:41 a.m. and 2:41 a.m. Pacific time on May 23rd. Now, the idea here is that Venus under the light of Rigel, a positive lucky star, Venus, a goddess of luck herself, right? And just, Mercury's close at hand at 23, the messenger, could bring some positive, good news, luck. I didn't draw him in there, but he's there. To your life story as Saturn stations, right? I mean, in the proximity to the stationing. So let's say the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th of May, maybe some good news. This is for everybody. I'm still just talking about the general themes. Yet also there's kind of a baking into the stationary chart. Like the moment something starts has a quality of the whole. So Saturn stationing and stamping in a sweet, harmonious, flowing, lucky trine to a goddess of luck, abundance, money, and love is auspicious. It does say that even though it's a retrograde, and yes, maybe Saturn goes offline and we don't have to work as hard as we normally do, or we go back to fortify something we've started and gird it and strengthen it. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be all that hard. Not with Venus, goddess of love, Venus, goddess of money and harmony and flow, playing a strong role here. So I'm going to say I feel this is a very positive version of a retrograde, especially with lucky star Rigel right there. Now also you've got Uranus in a square to Saturn. That's ongoing all through 2021. It's nothing new. Uranus is disruption and change and upset the status quo and jiggle up the reality and change it up. Great awakener. And Saturn is the status quo, the way it is, the way it should be. Now, I think that square, which goes into perfection, I think around June the 14th this time, and it comes back again in the year, and we've already had the first pass. It's just baking in the idea that there's going to be change. There could be some sudden and disruptive change that spills out in our lives over the months until October 11th, while Saturn is retrograding. But I'm more heartened by the positive Venus influence here, all right? And then there's a sweet little sextile from Chiron, the healer, the wounded healer. He can represent the magician, the mentor, the guide. He was a mentor of healers and heroes in our life. So maybe some of us will bring a guide, a mentor, a teacher, a healer into our life in the 5 months after this retrograde starts. Now let's do all signs, where this is going to show up for you. How does it bake into your chart? Let's do the Aquarians first because, hey, I'm an Aquarius rising. Saturn is in Aquarius when this happens. So Aquarius, a sun, moon, and especially ascendant rising sign people. This is going to look like you have a sweet love affair, maybe percolating from Venus in your 5th house of romantic love. If you don't get a sweet love affair, maybe with somebody older or younger, like there's an age gap here, Saturn is the elder, then it could also be, in addition, the promise of some financial opportunity, blessings, or luck. And I'd say luck because Venus is a lucky goddess. She's about money and a house of money luck, the 5th house. So some money luck coming to you. Yay, hallelujah. Breaking on through to the other side with money luck. Also, you look like you might experience some significant uptick of sober-minded pleasure and play. Now, why do I say sober-minded pleasure and play? Well, because Saturn is stoic and sober and realistic and serious, and Venus is pleasure and play and fun and indulgences and luxury. Yeah, that energy is flowing from Saturn to make realistic, enduring changes, or establish realistic, enduring foundations for how your pleasure, your sensuality, your indulgences, and your life looks. I mean, to me, like, let's talk about Sober Sisters, right, that I did. It's a similar vibe here, but now Venus is into the fray. What pleasures can we have in our life where they're grounded in a Saturnian ethic? Is it realistic? Is it enduring? Does it stand up to the test of time? Certainly moderation in alcohol would stand up the test of time, but not daily overindulgence. So keep that in mind. In your own life, where could you be looking at how to temper and moderate some extraordinary indulgences of Venus's persuasion and become more, have a more enduring out picture, a more lasting legacy, a way it cannot undo you? Money luck is really strong when Venus is here in general. For you Aquarians, she's in a money house. And so don't be afraid to buy a lottery ticket, speculate, take a chance on a stock. Be careful, not a financial advisor for you. But you could have, it could be a good time to buy a lottery ticket for fun. Just one or two, don't overdo it. All righty. Oh, and Saturn's going to go back, right? And he's going to lay off the hard work a bit and be less of a slave master and a taskmaster. And Venus loves enjoyment and pleasure and play in a money luck house. Wouldn't it be nice to win a little bit of money for some of you guys, or have a lucky money break where you can lay back and enjoy your life a little bit more and work less hard? As an Aquarius rising, I can speak to that. I'm traveling across the country to move, and I sure would like not to be seeing clients while I'm on the road, right? So financially, I wouldn't mind a little bonus money showing up on my doorstep. A lot of Aquarians dealing with home changes, right? Changes to the foundation, the root where you live, square from Saturn. I am moving, and that will kind of play out as well over the next 4 months. I mean, to October 11th. And then here we have Chiron, a guide, a mentor, a healer, or a teacher possibly showing up. Chironic and Saturnian, maybe an elder, maybe a wise one, maybe an expert authority, could show up in your local neighborhood around where you live. Meeting a local dude in the 3rd house or dudette. Could also be through a sibling or a sibling introduction or something like that. And you could also, skills-based learning is 3rd house. Chiron is mentor guide. So you could also have a soulful mentor and guide in a skills-based learning that percolates as Saturn is offering that option in that station retrograde snapshot sky. Likely, if you do, it will play out until October, and because Saturn's retrograding, it could be a mentor guide or skills-based teacher you've used before. I'll give you an example. I'm going to study with Achyuta, my Hellenistic astrology teacher, in his 2nd year advanced program. A teacher I've had before, a guide and mentor I've had before, right? Chiron, Saturn retrograde, so something old coming back, something I've done before renewing itself. Makes a lot of sense, right? Okay, moving forward to the next sign. I'm going to whiz, guys. I've got a client in half an hour, so you're going to hear me talking fast. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. You guys are going to have Saturn going back in the house of your dreams and your reveries, your meditations, your inner life, your even your past life is like almost like a karmic scrub. Saturn is going to be here until 2023 March, so he's scrubbing your karma house up with a stoic taskmaster discipline. Possibly, Saturn retrograding here can ask you to go back to whatever was going on last year in March 22nd to June 29th. What were you doing back then? And do some housekeeping there as well. What were you up to? Some of you Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Think about your dreams and your meditations back then. Think about self-undoing and habits and patterns that could disrupt your life, addictions and self-defeating tendencies, right? That's 12th house stuff. And how is Saturn going to help you going reverse, less pressure, more effectively connect to some of your undoing patterns and undo them completely, unwind the knots of our habitual junk that stands in the way of our success in life, or brings health, mental, emotional illness, physical, mental, emotional unwellness to us. It's a Lightman house. If you want it, a spiritual teacher who's Saturnian, very elderly, guidey, you know, from a tradition, like an existing spiritual tradition that could be Saturnian. So maybe you're going to find a spiritual guide or teacher coming up because of the Chiron sextile. Some of you Pisces folk may fall into a guiding spiritual teacher storyline over the next 5 months or so. Well, until October, right? May, June, July, October. Yeah. I have to do some math here. Yeah. Next 4 months or so. Now, Venus is sweetly bringing luck and opportunity in the real estate part for you, Pisces. Your home, your land, your domestic life, your inner life, your private life, your household life. So some fortunes there for you guys. Luck, opportunity, star Rigel bringing prosperity and luck as well regarding home, land, real estate endeavors, as well as just within your domestic realm. Money from the home base and love in the home base, fortified as well, lucky in love. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. It's some disruption in the house of siblings and the house of trips and travel, where that energy of Uranus sits in the chart, as you can see, and that could cause you to want to, you can have a disruption in sibling relationship maybe, but square would be a retrograde Saturn square Uranus in the house of siblings is going back to solidify, fortify, or regird or rebuild something with a sibling from prior disruptions. Okay, moving on. Oh, and it's a good time for skills-based learning for things to do with the internet. And Saturn can help you go back and relearn something or redo something in that area that you may have started, or if you know, or retinker with your website or rebuild a foundation in your online reality. Internet, online stuff, Uranus in a house of social media platforms. Aries sun, Aries moon, especially Aries rising sign. You're energetically experiencing Saturn tinkering in your 11th house of your hopes, dreams, and wishes. Your friends and allies, the groups you belong to. Now, for you guys, the Aries rising especially, this is going to be a stern taskmaster in the house of your dreams and wishes and your friends and allies and your great gains from your career even. That's another meaning of the 11th, great rewards and gains from one's 10th house career. So it's kind of a time of sober-minded, realistic perspective. It has started already, right? Saturn's been here since December, will be here till March of 2023. But this retrograde might refresh you as to his tiptoe in. What was happening last March 22nd to June 29th that's now having to be readdressed in your life? What changes did you make in your great gains from your career or your social networks? What hopes, dreams, and wishes are having sober-minded, realistic perspective swatched down on top of them. Thank you, Saturn, for that realism. Pay attention to that. Saturn is going to clean up and strengthen your 11th house. He will end with greater gains in your career available to you after this transit by 2003. He's loving up a trine to Venus, and so she's luck and love and money. You can have some money luck in your domestic life. I mean, in your neighborhood, your local environment, your online presence, your marketing and selling abilities, your sibling relationships are blessed here. Rigel, the lucky star with Venus, blesses those as well. It might be time to form local community and away from larger social networks. Local community can be third house, local friendships, that kind of thing. Forming new, stronger female local friendships coming up for you from that trine to Venus, maybe a new cohort of female friends. You could have some learning that could bring you lucky money and prosperity. Okay. And if you're single, some of you Aries, sun, moon, and ascendant could find love, lucky in love, prosperous in love, because you met someone at a Starbucks or a pub or a local movie theater. Venus is bringing that possibility. Okay. Trining Saturn with an old person older than you, most likely. Saturn retrograde. So, it does an old love story resurge for you with somebody who is involved in your local environment? Or do you take a short trip and travel sometime over the next few months until October 11th, that's stamping in this energy where you're going to, as a single Aries, find some lucky in love because of a journey you take, a trip you take. All right. Taurus, sun, moon, and ascendant, you guys have the scrub of taskmaster Saturn softening up his retrograde energies, making things less difficult in your work house and your reputation and social status. Now, you know, for a lot of Taurus, sun, moon, and especially rising signs, Saturn in your 10th house, starting in December of 2020 to March of 23, means that you're going to rise in authority or find greater strength and power in your career. If you like your career and what you're doing, Saturn's journey through that will strengthen it and build you greater authority and potency there. And if you don't, because he will be realistic and sober-minded and take you to task, you could have a change in your career as well. Now, Saturn up here in this 10th house, retrograding from May 23rd to October 11th, is maybe addressing something that began March 22nd, 2020 to June 29th, 2020. What is going to be regirded? What's going to be strengthened? What's a do-over from that time at the end of March last year to the end of June? He's sending sweet energy and a love up to Venus, the goddess of love, in your second house of money. Well, not a bad thing, right? Because this will improve your earnings. And this story is going to play out over the next 4 months because he's stamping in the idea of a tete-a-tete of love and energy with Venus, the lucky goddess of money, luck, and love in the house of money and earnings. So a lot of Tauruses are going to find money flowing to them and with less work and more flow over the next 4 months. You're probably going to get a job, basically, if you're unemployed. And if you're employed, you could get a promotion or a raise, okay? Or a new job that pays better. And a lot of you Taurus energies are going to experience guidance and teachers and mentors and wise people offering their services to you from the 12th house, spiritual, psychological energies. You might have a good guide or counselor giving you some great advice over the next few months. And also Uranus is disrupting things to do with your physical body and your appearance and your personality and your character. You Taurus arisings in particular are having to reinvent who you think you are, change your character's role, rewrite the script, doctor the script of the character you're here to play. All right. And this energy over the next 5 months, a square from Saturn, is to do it in a way that is going to be lasting. Don't make character changes and hairstyle changes that you don't want to live with. That's for sure. Gemini, sun, moon, and ascendant. Let me check my time. Okay, I'm doing all right. Got to get this done before my client session. All right. Normally, Saturn in the 9th house, can be about a religious tradition or spiritual tradition that's existent, like Buddhism or something like that, or, Catholicism, because it's the god of tradition in a house of religious traditions. But it also can look like authority and power in the house of higher education for you Gemini, sun, moon, and ascendants. It can also look like some kind of foreign land engagement, or a trip to a foreign land or whatever. Saturn's in the house of foreign lands, but he's retrograding. So you'll go back to a foreign land that you've been to before. You'll go back to a religious or spiritual practice you engaged in before. Now, with Venus, the goddess of luck on star Rigel, which is luck and prosperity in your first house. First of all, Venus in your first house, Gemini, sun, moon, and ascendant, especially ascendant, means you can be more beautiful, seductive, charismatic, friendly, and seem friendly to the world right now. And that kind of stamps in my view, as this retrograde station day sort of gives you the essence of the feel of the next 4 months. You are more charismatic, you are more seductive, you are more beautiful or handsome than you normally are. And Saturn wants you to achieve those qualities in a lasting way, to experiment with being a mercurial Venusian being, right, over the next 4 months. Go back, of course, to March 22nd to June 29th last year, 2020. What was happening then? Because Saturn's retrograde is going to recapitulate or redo some of those themes from then. What else? How can you connect the dots? Saturn wants to fortify and strengthen things that began last year. Saturn is in a sextile to guide, mentor, teacher, healer, Chiron in the house of groups of belonging and allies and benefactors and hopes, dreams, and wishes, and the house of good spirit. A very powerful spiritual guide, teacher, coach, or mentor could be supporting some of you from your friendship circles. Even a really good friend could become that for you over the next 4 months as Saturn spends time retrograding until October of 2021. You will find disruption from your dreams at night, your meditation, your reverie, but also disruptions to your self-addicting undoings and patterns. Saturn will bring you a chance over the next 4 months to find enduring ways to pattern interrupt your own self-undoing. Again, your dreams could be shocking and awe-inspiring at night. You just said you got Uranus, inventive. You can come up with great ideas from your dreams at night, or your meditations, or your daydreaming imagination, even with that 12th house activation of Uranus there till 2026. If you do, Saturn squaring Uranus says, let's make it real, bring it down to earth, and show it up as something that has lasting value. All right, keep that in mind. Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendant. You guys are having the energetic input of Lord Saturn of time and karma, taskmaster, reality, and money house. The 8th house is bank loans, taxes. Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendant. Are you having to redo your taxes again? Are you having to look at your way you structure your investment monies? Are you having to apply for another loan, home equity loan, bank loan? I don't know. Are you having to redo your financial world? Be more accountable to your financial world. Saturn is making you Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendant realistic and sober-minded about your accounting of your finances. Now, Saturn is, playfully sextiling a love up of luck with Venus on a lucky star in your 12th house. That could be money from foreign shores. One of the meanings of the 12th house, like revenue from barter and business across different shores. PayPal account, Stripe account, pitching, same idea. Online businesses are always international these days. So some of you might be looking at creating an online business to create revenue from foreign shores, to actively put money into your Saturnian savings here, or your investments and stuff. Saturn going through your 2nd house can be suppressing right now. Started in December of 2021 to March of 2023. Your husband or spouse's or wife's money, spousal money, could be really constricted and suppressed. Yet with this Venus energy, there's some opportunity maybe to change that over the next 4 months. Maybe your partner gets a job. Certainly your Venus in your 12th house can give you a deeper connection to women at a spiritual level. Some of you, Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendants, might look at what spiritual friendships you might have with women that could help also fortify your money, funny enough. Now, Chiron, the teacher, the guide, the mentor in the 10th house of your career. Do you need a career guide, career mentor, guide for your career? They can help fortify your money. Well, Saturn and Chiron seem to suggest that wouldn't be a bad idea. And then lastly, Uranus is disrupting your social networks, your social circles. Some of your hopes, dreams, and wishes are being, jiggled up and wiggled up right now. And so, Uranus is trying to give you new visions for what you want in your life, new hopes, new dreams, new wishes. Shake it up, think outside the box, be inventive. During this retrograde period, as Saturn and Uranus are, connecting to each other, you are going to find that you could possibly have a breakthrough, aha insight over the next 4 months about a new vision for how you want your true dreams and wishes to look in your life. Also, money. This is a money house. Great gains from your career. Sudden upticks in your financial story. Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendant. Leo rising, Leo moon, Leo sun, especially Leo rising sign. You guys are going to have this squashy vibe of Saturn in your relation to your spouse house for a long time. That started in December of 20 and will end March of 2023. So there's almost like growing up your spousal relationship or your marriage. If you have clients or audience or others in your life, that's also growing up and being more sober-minded about that. But for the relationship part of the chart, a lot of you people will be looking at your marriage with more stern, realistic expectations. And if you're single, you could be bringing in an older partner into your life, or, an older love story, a person who's older than you. Now, and there's no doubt about it, Saturn going through the 7th house is definitely hard on relationships. So keep it in mind, you Leo, sun, moon, and ascendant. But you have to grow up your relationship. You have to make it serious and sober and realistic. practical. Now, Saturn is going to offer over the next 4 months some loving up from Venus, right? Of trying to, the goddess of luck and money and love in the 11th house of friends and social circles. If you're a single Leo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, and you love story with an older person you meet through a friend or group community environment of belonging. You could also have some money luck, Venus, money goddess in a money house, great financial gain from career. Because you have Uranus disrupting your career zone and really shifting it. Also, just be aware of that. Venus can't really participate. They're too close at hand. She could bring you some great gains here, but I don't know if it's directly from your career with that Uranus jolt there. Who knows? But anyway, I doth digress. A guide, a teacher, a mentor, a coach, an advisor from the 9th house of God, truth, soul, and wisdom. Okay. I think that's important to look at. I think you could be looking at a new spiritual renaissance for you. Some of you may have dropped your spiritual inclinations. Now, a strong marriage counselor, for goodness sakes, would be good with Chiron sextiling Uranus. Anyway, some guide or counselor from a spiritual direction coming your way. Yeah. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Look what's happening for you guys. Yay. You're going to get this amazing possibility of some career blessings, Venus in the house of career, with Saturn in the house of work. A lot of this for a lot of you. Also the house of health. Saturn for Virgo rising entered your house of health and protocols to avoid sickness in December of 2020 and will be there until March of 23, improving your health issues through stern, realistic, sober-minded approaches and expert authorities who might be of assistance. Now, Venus, though, in the work, the career house, like guys, it's kind of baking in right now to this retrograde over the next 4 months. Some positive, lucky, prosperous opportunities in career. So it could just be getting a job, could be getting a promotion, could be getting an advancement in work and career. I love it. And you're going to maybe find guides and mentors from 8th house places, financial mentors and guides and advisors. Occult, like tarot readers and occult types of guides and advisors, Chiron on the 8th, that support you in your health, in your work that you want to do, okay, and bring you greater clarity. You can also look at the next 4 months unraveling a little shock and awe of Uranus in the 4th house of 9th house of foreign lands and higher education. Some of you Virgos may jolt a new direction in higher education, and you may also look back, please, to March 22nd to June 29th, 2020, because this retrograding Uranus, your retrograding Saturn is going to go back and address things that were happening then in work and health. And this jolting energy in the zone of higher education or foreign lands is going to activate as well over the next 4 months. What changes are you making regarding your dharma, your purpose in life, 9th house, your higher education goals, ambitions, and dreams, or your connections with things to do with foreign shores, foreign lands? This is also the house of the father in Vedic astrology, and some of you Virgos may be having a new formed relationship with your father. Let me see if I'm going to get this done on time. Okay. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, you guys are going to experience this energy of Saturn rehabbing your house of your romantic life, your kids, and the relationship to your children. This is definitely Saturn in a play and fun house, giving you less fun and more hard work, but he is retrograding, so he's less ambitious in his task mastering. So more fun ahoy for you from May, 23rd to October 11th. Go back. What was happening in March 22nd to June 29th that might be replaying right now? Can you recapitulate the story of what Saturn wants to go back and do again in terms of fun and love and romance and your children and independent business? If you're an entrepreneur, that can be very 5th house. Chiron in the 7th wants to bring guides, mentors, and healers to you from the house of spouse relationship. Could also be time to heal your issues to do with unlovability and lasting love. You can also look to Venus for that sweet beautiful lucky star Rigel and her placement in the ninth house of teaching, Dharma. If you're teaching or you want to be taught, you want to go to school, some of you Libra, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants can find that to be a very good blessing place. Trips to foreign lands with women over the next 4 months. Yay, that looks possible. Anchoring in some fun play and pleasure with sober-minded sisters of fun in foreign lands. And look to some disruption in the money story with Uranus there, but yet sober-minded Saturn wants to bring any chaos or any shifting jittery energy in your wealth house into realistic form that serves your enjoyment of life as well. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. You get to feel the vibe of this energy happening in your retrograde Saturn in your fourth house of home. Which of you Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants might have looked at moving home March 22nd to June 29th or being more serious about your home last year? Well, whatever you did back then, it's playing out again. Saturn is retrograding in the fourth house. This is the house of your home, where you live, your roots of who you are, your relationship to your mother. Are you going to go back and to build a stronger foundation with your mom relationships or issues to do with your mom? Now, Saturn is giving a love up energy to Venus, and that means luck in your money story. She's a money goddess in a money house. If you have any speculative investments that you made too, investment could take off in your eighth house, like something you bought and it's going to now soar in price. You could also have some secret love affair. Ooh, Venus in the eighth house. What secret love affairs are you Scorpios dabbling in? But oh my God, connected to your home base, the town you live in, at least, the very least, your domestic life. Guidance and support from a teacher healer figure, maybe in the house of career, a career counselor, a career guide, a career teacher. This is the work house, a guide in the workplace, a helper guide in your workplace, maybe playing out over the 4 months ahead. You've got to deal with this, shaking of lightning bolts in your marriage house. So just deal with that. If you are single, you can have a sudden relationship show up maybe with a sober-minded person in your local neighborhood who's older than you. But if you're in a relationship, that's just an ongoing jolting energy that could disrupt your relationship status. Keep that in mind. All right. Next, we're going to look at you Sagittariuses. Lots of redressing whatever was going on March 22nd to June 29th last year. You're going to be looking at how to go back and do something again that you already started to do with your local neighborhood, your siblings, your relationships to your siblings. Do you need to fortify, regird, and establish new contact with a sibling? Is there an older sibling you have to deal with and it's been difficult? You're going to fix it March 22nd to June 29th. You also might have more trips that you have to take that are, for strategic and realistic reasons, locally or domestically. Loving it up from Venus, you could have a business partnership that brings some good money to you. You could have a fortification or a restructuring of your primary relationship for a better direction in love. Venus is trying to make existing relationships more happy for you Sagittarius, but Venus can also bake in over the next 4 months a new love story, maybe with an older person. You want a guide or a mentor, they're going to show up in the fifth house. A guide for pleasure, play, and fun, a guide, a money guide, speculation guide, a guide for any artistic talents or skills you have could show up. Some disruptive energy in the work. Some of you Sagittarius are going through work disruptions and things feel chaotic in the work environment. Saturn wants you to ground that in the real world in a way. So trying to bring some disruptive chaos in your work environment over the next 4 months and make it more stable and less challenging. Oh my God, I'm going to finish on time. I got a client in like 4 minutes. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Hallelujah. You guys are having this happen in your second house of Mula Mula, Saturn in your money house. Go back to last March 22nd to June 29th. What were you doing, Capricorns, to fortify your earnings, your self-possession, your possessions, your self-worth, your voice, and your vocation? Now you're going to do it again, but maybe even with more solid legs on it between now and October 11th during that retrograde cycle. What else is happening? Well, Venus is bringing you lucky opportunity for money and luck, maybe if you're a female, in your workplace. Also solidifying some developments in your physical health, making your health better through Venusian, playful and pleasurable ways, or through a female ally in the health field. Some of you Capricorns also look at disruptions in your love life. Has it been chaotic? Oh my God, or with your children or with your artistic stuff. I mean, you know, you got Uranus disrupting that since 2019. And now there's this kind of a pitching it down. What can you do with inspired, innovative, original ideas, the house of the muse, new creative ideas coming to you that you can harness that Uranian impulse to bring it down to earth as money in your bank account, earnings and revenue. Okay, think original, think outside the box, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Lastly, Chiron, you can need a guide or mentor to do with your home, with real estate, your domestic life, maybe. Chiron is giving you a challenge to your domestic, home-based life, and you have to figure out what he wants you to do. With this sextile to Saturn, you could have a Chironic mentor around real estate, property, sales, ownership, home, things to do like with that bring you greater financial prosperity. Okay, there we go. Whew, gonna go see a client. Thank you, Capricorns, for being the last but not least, and me pretty well whizzing through you. All right, guys, I'm off to a client. Check out my description box below for everything I have going on. If you want to join my newsletter, guess what? If you join between now and May 30th, I'm putting you in a draw for a free reading. So check out the link to my newsletter. I have up 444 people on my weekly newsletter, and I'm just trying to create a greater audience on my weekly reports that come out usually every Sunday about the week ahead in a newsletter format. All right, ciao, guys. Love you. Bye. Bye.